So, Gavin, what we wanted to do was just have a conversation about theft and theft in retail, um, primarily because it's something that people don't want to talk about until it's an issue. And certainly based on our experience, we've gone to customers and said, hey, look, we see evidence within the data suggesting there's theft in your business. And the typical response we get is, no, I trust all of my people. And we're talking here about employee theft in particular. Now, you've been used as an expert witness in court cases. We've both worked with police and with prosecutors to help them gather evidence. It's a time-consuming process, isn't it?
Yeah, depending on the level of theft, it can be anywhere from 6 or 7 hours up to 20 or 30 hours worth of work just collating the data and getting it into a format for the police that's ready for prosecution. So it can take a long time.
And the real issue is that the evidence of theft has been there long before it gets to the police.
Oh, absolutely.
The way, and we're not saying every employee steals, not by a long shot. And yes, customer theft is a big problem in retail. We'll cover that in just a second. But employee theft is something that, because of what we've got in the software and because of the hidden tools in the software, we can help people identify this before it becomes too much of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few tools in the software that you can look at to, look for patterns and, sort of methods of behavior that people have been portraying over the course of, certain shifts and stuff. So you can really track it down to particular shifts and go, look, that's looking a bit strange. Why is that action happening always at, 3 o'clock on Tuesday afternoons when I'm not in the business? So you can sort of go, okay, well, that's something I need to look at and, put some things in place.
And look, I know we've been in situations where we've said to a retailer, hey, do you have somebody who works on this day and this day and this day at this time? And they're like, how do you know that? Are you looking at our roster? And we're like, well, no, we're actually looking at the theft pattern.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was one business where we saw this data pattern emerge at 2 points during the day. And they happened to be the 2 times when the owner of the business would step out of the business for a regular lunch or for their regular coffee. And so these tools that are in the software, the hidden tools that are there, we only make those available to a business owner.
Yeah, they're there. They're covered by the level D password, which is a password that only the business owners should have. And it's quite comprehensive. You can go in there and do searches based on date and time and particular event and so forth, so you can make sure that you're tracking it down to where you need to get to.
So if somebody suspects or is concerned about possible theft, this is where they would ask us for a theft check.
Correct.
And we would ask for access to their full data. And then confidentially we'd go through that and then come back to them if we see any data patterns in there that are concerning.
Yeah, exactly. We'd put it through our analysis that we've been doing for the last 10 or 15 years and just try and match it up and generally look. Usually by the time people are suspecting there's a theft problem, it's usually after they've done their accounts or so forth for the year, and then the accountant says something's not right, and then they start doing their own looking. So at that point, they've sort of got some suspicions, but it's usually we're just giving them confirmation of those suspicions. So,
and look, the headline story is for example the one about the retail store where it was $250,000 or $300,000 worth of theft, and that's the story that captures the attention. But the reality is, it's that daily theft of lunch money.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can see where somebody might be taking $15 or $20 a day, and they do it primarily because it's easy to do. And our advice to retailers would be not necessarily to make it harder, but to certainly use the tools in the software to see if it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very that type of theft where it's only small amounts can be actually quite difficult to track down. So you need to be vigilant and looking at the options in the software for tracking it, and just even just asking sort of questions publicly in the store, going, oh, what was that one related to? Just gives the staff enough of a thing. Okay, well, they are looking at particular actions, so it just might give them some hesitancy before they attempt it. So
yeah, just quickly in terms of customer theft, I would say that the best way to understand if customer theft is an issue is to do spot stock takes within the store.
Absolutely.
And that's where you might stock take just a particular section that you know is going to be particularly interesting to people to steal. And you might check that once a fortnight, once a week, whatever it suits. And you can stock take just that section and see if there's an issue emerging there.
Yeah, certainly. And as soon as there is, you can put something in place. Perhaps you need to move it to somewhere where you've got better sight from, or stuff like that. There's lots of stuff you can do once you actually know that the problem exists. So,
the interesting thing about theft is we know from, police data and various retail associations in Australia, for the sorts of businesses we serve, theft is costing a business somewhere between 3 and 5% of turnover. And in terms of value, employee theft is usually 60 to 70% of that.
Yeah.
And so you can work out from your turnover, work out the numbers and say, all right, it's worth me investing a little bit of time in this to get an understanding of it.
Oh, absolutely. And we're just having that discussion with Tyro yesterday about the cost of having cash in your business. And
yeah,
it certainly is almost to the point now where, depending on what your business is, it's almost, do I need to actually keep cash? Can I go cardless? It's certain. Oh, so go cashless. It's certainly an option I think some businesses need to be considering.
Look, through our businesses here, we currently own 4 retail businesses. If the vote was solely mine, we would have no cash in any of those businesses. I understand the practicalities in some situations, but cash comes at a cost.
Absolutely.
And in terms of theft tracking, the less cash you have, the better control you've got over theft within your business.
Yeah, particularly from staff theft. I think if you go cashless, there still will be some, where they're potentially giving, preferential pricing to mates, or they're, not ringing things up and giving free stock away, but the dipping their money into the till to take cash out for their lunch money is going to significantly drop if you're cashless.
All right. So really summing up theft from our perspective, from a software company perspective, we have tools within the software. A lot of them are hidden tools. And if customers want to have us analyze their situation, they email just support and with a subject line of theft check. And then we'll ask them for the data from there, and we'll do that confidentially. And typically, is it you would go back to them, or our customer service manager would go back to them?
Yeah, so it's typically whoever looks at the support case will have a cursory look first. Then if they find something, they'll get me involved from that point, and then we'll go back to them and have a conversation. So if you email us, make sure you please do it from an email address that staff don't monitor. Otherwise, obviously, you might be giving them a heads up. So,
yep. And look, the final point that I'd make is, you've got to treat data as an asset within the business. The moment you take data out of something like our software and put it into a spreadsheet, and then look at the performance of your business based on what the spreadsheet tells you, you're opening yourselves up to inaccuracy. And somebody who is adept at stealing will leverage that inaccuracy or that breakage from the software to the spreadsheet and find a door open through which they could possibly steal from the business.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things you just got to be careful about.
Yep.
All right. Well, hopefully that's helpful for people. And thank you.
No worries.